Hey, so I'm actually going to be talking about feminism with you guys today.
I love you some feminism.
Don't we all? So I know there's a lot of facets to it. It's a very broad topic, so I'm going to talk about one particular aspect of it, which is the mental conditioning against feminism. Just a quick show of hands. Can I ask how many guys here have been called a pussy in their life? Have been told to man the hell up? Have been told to stop acting like a girl? Like, girl is being a derogatory term. Did you guys look around? One more time. Look around. Almost every male in this room has actually succumbed to that. And I'll explain to you why that's such a drastic thing. For me, I grew up around boys my entire life. I've always been told that I was one of the boys. I actually took so much pride in that I wasn't like a girl. And over the years, I've been conditioned to think of that term girl as such a demeaning thing. You know, acting girly is always considered such a insult, isn't it? You know, we're told to stop acting so girly. Why do you have to act that way? Why are you acting so feminine? Like, my brothers have been told that so many times that they turned around and told me one day, like, why am I being told that I'm being a girl like it's a bad thing? And it really struck something in me personally. Because up to that point, I looked at it like, I'm not girly. I'm proud to be one of the boys. Like, I don't count. And then I thought about it and I'm like, what the F am I talking about? Because at the core of me, I may be a mother, I am a daughter, I am a sister, I am a worker. I am all these things, but at the core of it all, I am a woman. I am a female. And this isn't just by our physical gender. This also applies to trans, to however you identify yourself. If you identify yourself as a female, it should be something empowering, not demeaning. So we're now in the year 2014, and 94 years have passed since we won our right to vote. 94 years. That's not a very long time. You know, if you think about it, women are now a large force in the workplace after bouts of war took men to fight for imperialist interests in the world wars, both 1 and 2, and since then. And women were actually left to labor in factories and in storefronts in the men's stead. You know, we actually had to step up and play double roles while men went away. But when men came back, we were told to leave. We were told to go back home, to bear children, to clean, to cook. I'd like to remind you, that's not an easy job. Definitely not an easy job, people. That's a Jane of all trades. And let me tell you, that is not an easy task to undertake. Now, to be said, not even just within the homes, we're also a force to be reckoned with in terms of education, in terms of art, in terms of trade skills, in terms of sports. But this doesn't mean that we're actually respected on equal ground. If you think about it, NBA actually shows their games on TV. Has anyone watched a WNBA game?
Been to them, but you can't find them on TV.
I saw it once on the internet. Once. And it was actually so pathetic because I actually had to Google it. I had to search it out. It wasn't something that I can easily, have access to. Same thing for movies. I'm sure you guys have seen that a lot of movies have male protagonists in them, right? How many female-led movies are there? Genuinely female. Not talking about supporting roles, not talking about being the love interest, none of that crap. Actually, just a female-led role. Barely any, right? And, for decades now, in a world that's ruled by patriarchy, women have been viewed to be the lesser gender because we are considered the childbearer, the chef, the maid, the sex robot, the punching bag, and the commodity, the hot commodity. Because I'm sure you guys are all aware that sex slave trades are still an ongoing problem, not just in the US, but all over the world. This is not something that just affects us here at home. This is something that occurs on a global scale. And, it really hit me even harder when I remember reading about a law in South Carolina where a man could actually take a woman, drag them to the steps of a courthouse, and beat the shit out of her on Sundays.
In where?
South Carolina. I shit you not. I shit you not. And it doesn't even matter what the transgression is. He has full rights to beat his wife on 1 day a week, if you so choose. And it really struck a nerve, like, What the hell is going on in this country that you can still legally take your wife and beat her for whatever transgression you deem necessary? Do you understand what that means? If you're in South Carolina right now, your male counterpart can drag you to the court steps and beat the shit out of you and leave you there, and nothing will happen to him. There's no criminal charges that happen after that. There's also the consideration where there are still cultures in which women can still be married off as young as 10 years old and be raped by a man that is 4 times her age and forced to bear children. This is something that we personally do not encounter, but this is still occurring around the world. And there are attacks on women with acid and other harmful chemicals, and actually on a global scale, because I've seen this happen at home, but also particularly in Asia, because they feel that the woman should not be recognizable or desirable if they reject the man. Do you understand what that statement means? That means an ego decided that you can disfigure a woman. Your fucking ego got to choose whether or not she looks the way she's supposed to. So, pardon. So, I'm sure you guys are also aware that rape culture is very rampant still. There's been media coverage recently on a bunch of young kids who raped a girl at a party. They recorded it and then they put it on the internet. And it wasn't about how dare they. It was, well, what the fuck was she wearing? Why was she there? Was she drinking? She must have fucking asked for it. Oh, Lord. That attitude is what's wrong. It wasn't about, how could this happen to her? It was about those poor boys lost their football career. Fuck their football career. Woo! Fuck it. Media coverage was so disgusting to listen to. When they were promoting, they essentially promoted rape culture by saying that it was a good thing. It was a good thing. That's what they said. That, you know what, she probably learned her lesson from this occasion. But I promise you, nobody asks to be raped. Ever. Ever. And it kills me that it still exists here in this country. And it's not even just what occurs to us, it's what also occurs to our minds. Rape culture has mentally warped us. How many times have you walked down the street and you are so scared shitless when someone walks by you too close? How many times have you all held your keys in your hand just in case? How many times have you crossed the street when you saw a crowd of men walking towards you? How many of you been catcalled and harassed on the street? I have. And when I ignored them, they called me a cunt and a bitch and a whore. As if I had no right to reject them. I incurred their wrath for silently rejecting them. As if I deserved it. So, this leads me to believe that the treatment of women stems from the sense of entitlement that men are bred to maintain by our patriarchal society, through comments from their parents, pressure from their peers in school, depictions of aggression in the media without repercussions. There have been rape scenes in movies, but if a woman is shown pleasure in a movie, it's considered rated NC-17.
Amen. Yep.
Since when was pleasure worse than rape? Since when? That mind frame that they teach our sons is a horrible habit to break as an adult. It's horrible, and it stems from youth. And we're part of that generation. And this is not to say that men are not attacked. Not at all. This is not. Because I'm fully aware that men being called girls is an attack in itself. Because you're taught to believe that we are lesser than you. In that one statement alone, that you feel you have to defend yourself against it. But I guarantee you, We are much more than what we are depicted to be by this society. We're much more than that. And this next sentence, I don't want anyone to raise your hands because it's a very personal question. But for the women who have been sexually assaulted, how long did it take you to walk out the house with a panic attack? How many times did you have to open the door to your house and then walk right back in because you were too scared to walk outside? How long did it take you to finally normalize yourself and your attitude towards society to walk outside that door and trust that you were not going to be violated? That is what a patriarchal society has done to us as a gender. How hard is it to walk down the street and not visibly twitch when too many men walk by? It takes a lot, doesn't it? And you have to even look more confident so that they don't see you as a weakling, because they prey on the weak. And us women, we're far from weak. But the general depiction of us being weak makes us a victim every time we walk out the door. So, I assure you, for those who have been violated, I understand personally, you did not ask for it. As she discussed earlier, we don't ask for these things, but we have to deal, and we need to find sources. We need to find the opportunity for change. And it doesn't have to happen after the fact. It has to happen before the fact. And we need to change society for that to happen. So, in my point of view, the media has clearly waged a war against women for a very long time. They've over-sexualized us and our physical capabilities. And we have been nothing more than that in movies and TV, etc. Even in TV shows that make us look like we are something, we're always a sidekick, a counterpart to a male figure. And, you know, a music industry is actually a very large part of that. As I'm sure all of you listen to music, whatever genre it is. If you really listen to the lyrical content of what you're listening to, there's a very huge bias. And I'll explain to you why. I'm a 90s kid. I've been listening to hip-hop and R&B for years. That's what makes my soul move. So, recently, I started listening to a song on the radio. And it was a song called Loyal by Chris Brown. And I'm going to show you the lyrical content for it. This is what was said on there. I'm not going to say it out loud because it's extremely derogatory, but if you guys can read it, please do. Can someone else possibly read it out loud?
I'll read it.
Do you mind?
If it's triggering for some people, you are welcome to leave the room because this is making me mad.
Just read about 3-4 lines. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah. I know this hoes ain't right. But you was blowing up her phone last night, but she ain't gonna have her ringer nor her ring on last night. Oh, why give a bitch your heart when she'd rather have a purse?
Okay, we'll stop right there. Do you understand what that statement just said? That just made us money-hungering hoes, according to this song. This song was playing on the radio to a whole bunch of people shaking their asses to it. So, clearly by this one song alone as an example, it shows us to be sex kittens and dirty secrets. Disloyal, money-hungry, unreasonable, easy to seduce, and just as easy to discard for the next. And we're so much more than that, aren't we, ladies? So much more than that. But I'd like to show you what happens when men are attacked. This was a song by Nicki Minaj that came out recently. I know you guys know it. I know you guys know it. Tasha, would you read about 2 or 3 sentences, please?
Look at y'all, bitch ass. Stop looking at my ass. Look at y'all lying ass. Talking about it's paid off, but it's financed, lying ass. Bunch of N-words. Okay. Now, I'm going to cut you off there. I'm sorry. The first song was written by Chris Brown. I'm sure you guys are all aware that he pled guilty for beating the shit out of Rihanna in public. And this song was actually written by Nicki Minaj. And I know there was a lot of controversy over a lot of her album art and whatnot. And
to be honest, her point of view is from a very bourgeois perspective as well. But I want to just show you the reaction that men had to this. Suddenly, men couldn't handle being attacked. They're like, what the fuck is this? First reaction, what the fuck is this? Why are men being attacked? Who the fuck is she to say that? Completely ignoring the fact that there's been over 2 to 3 decades of music that has demeaned us women. Yes. Did those men forget that?
They ain't feel good coming from the other end, did it?
No. I saw people on the other train the other day singing a song, and dude was singing out loud talking about how he's gonna smack these hoes. You got a mother somewhere, is my point of view. You know? And just to wrap this up, it caused a very, very big rage in the music industry and the people who listen to it, the audience. And it showed how we are still ruled by a very patriarchal society that's led by capitalists. They encourage this. They encourage this because it divides us. It divides us. And as long as there is a weaker counterpart to whatever they consider best, which is men leading the business world, men leading the music industry, men leading the sports world, they're always going to step over us and act like we are not capable of causing change because we're the lesser vessel. They're always going to tell us that we can't make change occur. How can we? We're not men. Who leads us in this government? I don't even know, because I didn't research this, but I guarantee there's more men in the government than women.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm glad you guys are aware. But then I'm going to read one last thing, and I swear I'll get off. But there was a song by Beyonce that quoted a Nigerian activist named Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and her quote really struck a part of me, so I'm going to read it to you. She says, "We teach girls to shrink themselves to make them smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful. Otherwise, you'll threaten the man. Because I am female, I am expected to aspire to marriage. I am expected to make my life choices, always keeping in mind that marriage is the most important. Now, this is not saying marriage can't be a source of joy and love and mutual support, but why do we teach girls to aspire to marriage when we don't teach boys the same? Men are encouraged to collect notches under their belt, right? And if women do it, what are we called? Sluts. We raise girls to see each other as competitors, not for jobs or for accomplishments, which I think can be a good thing, but for the attention of men. We teach girls that they cannot be sexual beings in the way that boys are. How does that work? So, to me, the problem is not about what goes on, it's about the mental conditioning that we are taught from birth. So she finishes her quote by saying a feminist is a person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes. And I'm going to say that us fighting for socialist and communist change is exactly supporting that. A change for equality for women. Thank you.